Welcome back, guys. We're back for another episode of Laughing Naked, and this time we are using Zoom, and I am your host, Camree. It is the week after Thanksgiving, so I feel like it's a good time to kind of talk about gratitude quickly. And I would say that this year I have so much to be grateful for. But for the past 2 months, I have noticed that I've been consciously thanking God, thanking the universe, spirit guides, kind of like whoever's in charge. Just like I've been finding myself feeling overall grateful for the journey that I have been on. And, I feel like I am living a life where I am in alignment with my truest self, highest self. And I'm just thankful that I started that journey in the first place. I'm seeing that my dreams are easily manifesting in my reality. And it's just a really great life that I'm living. And I can truly say that I am living in happiness, but I think that I'm mainly, thankful, grateful, blessed for where I am today, but especially for the hardships and kind of the shitty situations that push me to make that choice to heal. Okay. And that pushed me to take control of my own life and step in my power. Right. So if you're listening and you feel like you cannot relate to what I just said, or you want to be able to relate to that and you want to heal and you want to step in your power and you want to start manifesting your reality, and you want to have that gratitude and that happiness and overall just kind of love and joy for life, then you need to keep listening. Okay. Because I have today with me Liz, the wellness coach, and she is a certified holistic life coach, and she's my guest today, which I think is so fitting with the time frame because I have so much love and respect for my coach, my life coach. And if you guys know my journey, you guys know this all started with the coach. So I'm just excited to have Liz here today to explain her craft, tell her story, and answer some questions about her coaching and her coaching style, right? I have preached coaching ever since the day that I got a life coach. So I am so just pumped to even have you here. Because life coaching wasn't something that I had heard of when it was presented to me. Some of my viewers know this, but I literally went to a tarot reader because I had gotten my heart broken. If you haven't heard that story, go back to episode 1. But yeah, I went to this tarot reader because I was had a heart, my heart was broken, and I want to know if he was going to come back. And she was like, I think you would benefit from coaching. And I just kind of took it as an insult. And I was like, that was rude. You don't know me. I don't need a coach. And I did need a coach. And that coach led me to Arizona. It led me to this podcast, Success in My Finances, and guided me through just big life changes that I've made in the past couple of months. Like when I left the military, better boundaries, relationships, friendships, helped me grieve, and just so many other things. But now it's nice to kind of see it all come full circle. So do you want to tell us what your personal coaching story is?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So my story is honestly similar to yours. So I moved out of my house around 17.
Mm-hmm.
So I experienced a childhood of just, and I hate to say this because now I've healed and I've forgiven a lot of people in my life, but back then it was very toxic and it was traumatic and abusive. And I got to a point where I didn't know what to do other than run. So I left and I lived in and out of my friends' houses, my sister's house. I lived in my car. It was kind of just survival mode for a good year and a half until I went to college. I wasn't even going to go to college. My high school counselor, I was so close with them because I was such a mess that I would literally skip class and walk throughout the hallways because I'm having anxiety attacks, crying. And the principals were just so used to it, honestly, that they would send me to the counselor instead of the principal's office. So I ended up getting really close with her. She knew a lot of my story and she helped me get accepted to college. But before then, I was just moving, sleeping wherever I can, honestly. And so when I got to college, it honestly got worse. My anxiety got worse. I ended up going to see a doctor, and at 18 years old, they prescribed me Xanax and antidepressants. And that was kind of like a journey that started a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of suppressing, dissociation, basically finding anything that'll make me feel numb because I was sick of feeling how I was feeling. Around like sophomore, junior year, it got the worst that I've ever experienced. Like my like thoughts were winning. Honestly, I would have nights where I'd be driving down the road and completely dissociate, and my brain is telling me to like drive off. It was really intense, and I didn't know what to do, other than just like try to push through it and try to live another day, honestly. And then at one point I attempted suicide, and obviously it didn't work. I was about a centimeter away from a whole different story. And I think that was a big wake-up call for me, because it was scary, but also people around me rallied, and I saw who loved me, and I finally got a glimpse of like me being seen. So that's where I started my holistic journey. And like I said, I was working with doctors. All they did was give me pills. I spent thousands of dollars on tests. I mean, I was almost getting MRIs and like brain scans, because I was like, what is wrong with me? Something's wrong. I was so deep in depression and anxiety that like I felt like something else was running my body. I was just living in it, and I was living in this hell, honestly. So doctors weren't doing anything. I tried therapists weren't really helping. And so I went out on a limb and I reached out to this like holistic doctor. And your mind is gonna be blown. She introduced me to gut health, and that changed my life. Changed my life. And so 3 months, we went through an intensive detox. I had a candida overgrowth, killed it. I started actually feeling physically better, which is the first step. That's what we focus on for the first like 4 or 5 weeks in my program, is gut health, sleep, getting your physical body back to optimal health. And then I started going into natural healing. So I started working with sound healers, Reiki masters. I got a personal coach. I got a life coach. I got a business coach. I started going into business. Like my whole life just changed. And when you said that your life changed with a life coach, that was me with my business coach. They changed my whole mindset and how I saw life. So that's how I got here.
It's incredible, because it's like when you think back to like the person that you were so young too, and like, you know, I moved out when I was 17 too, very like toxic, abusive, just like household. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. And like my counselor, like, I feel like some people are going to relate, like had that high school counselor who was just like so great. That was mine. Like literally the only like I had to apply for college on my own. I had no idea like what I was doing, and I couldn't even ask my parents to do it. So like my counselor was the one who was like, did all the paperwork for me to file like independent. Had I not like known that or done that, like I wouldn't have even been able to like apply for financial aid or something like that. But then again, you mentioned like college, it got worse too. Like it's hard like to be in school full time. Like it is, I was losing my freaking mind, because I was like, there was so much going on. I was like, I cannot solely just stay here and focus on this. Like I was like drowning, and like I ended up deploying the next year. So that gave me like space to really figure some things out. But even when I came back and I thought about going back to school, I was like, I'm just don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. And like my coach, when I met her, I was just I still was like holding on to a lot of like childhood trauma. But like you said, you had to forgive a lot of people. Same. So it's always weird talking about, especially like with this podcast. I try to like try to make it as funny as possible, but then sometimes you say things that I'm like, oh my, and it just in my head I'm like, oh my god, I remember when I went through that exact same thing. So but it's like it's so it's just like so like enlightening though, you know. And I feel like, I don't know, I just like have this like love for coaching. So I don't know, I think I have told people kind of like with mine, like it was just this crazy, obviously there were a bunch of things that were like leading up in my life, but it literally was just like this little moment where I went to meet this guy, and just not a good situation. Anyone would know that. Anyway, come home crying. And I go to this tarot reader for like a love reading. And, like, I was just like, this guy broke my heart. Like, I might benefit from a love reading. And, obviously I was insulted because I was like, I don't need coaching. Like, I can take care of myself. I am strong. I'm independent. There's nothing wrong with me. You get that. You're like, I don't need help. Like, and I was like, and she was like, well, no, like coaching is just kind of more like hand holding. And I can see that you have some things you need to work through. And I was like, again, strong, independent. I've always taken care of myself. I just need to vent. I don't like, I know what I'm doing. And like, I was like, I don't need to pay for this because like, but it was, I just couldn't see my own struggles. I think that was the thing for me. I couldn't see the struggles that needed healing because I was used to them, I was like, this is who I am. This is my life. These are the cards I've been dealt. This is what I kind of just have to deal with. This is my reality. And it is what it is. And I didn't realize that I was extremely codependent, especially when it came to my relationships. I did not realize that. That was a very hard pill for me to swallow the day that I literally was like, I'm codependent. Mrs. Independent is codependent. That one really fucking got me. Like that one was rough. Like I struggled in like relationships, friendships, boundaries, self-worth. And it was interesting to see the way those popped up. Some of the things that I did in my life, I'm like, oh, this is me not feeling super like self-love right now. Like this is me, I didn't feel confident like where I was in life, my life purpose. I didn't know my life purpose. Generational family trauma. I had a ton of that and I was carrying it around and projecting it into like my personal life and onto my relationships, and obviously struggled like self-esteem. I just didn't realize any of it, and it was just overall like a low vibrational state that I was just in, but it was my normal. So I was used to it. And so I just felt like I just realized I was like, I don't think this could ever really get any better. So, that was 3 years ago, but it's like, once you finally like take that step, like I did, and honestly, it doesn't truly, I don't think it matters how you had to get there. Well, for me, I'm like, I had to get there because of a stupid little love reading. But I think the universe is like, hey, you needed to get to this point one way or the other, and you weren't listening to the other things that were going on. So once you make that step, and I was like, okay, let me just see what this like coaching shit's about. Like, I think I was sitting on my couch and I was like, let me just see what she was talking about. Like, let me just ask. And it ended up being like the best investment that I've ever made in myself. And that I want people to like think about that and hear about that. That is like the best investment I think I know I've ever made in myself. So how long have you been coaching?
So I've been coaching for about 2 years.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I think I found you a couple months ago, like on a Facebook group page, and I like just stalked you up until this moment. And I was like, I'm going to ask her one day. She's going to come on. I'm going to ask her one day. So I've been waiting and like praying on you. So as a coach, what are some of the things that you help your clients work through?
Yeah. Oh, that's a lot. So let's see. I mean, and I do want to touch on when you said like, because a lot of my clients struggle with this, right? When they're like, I'm independent. I don't want to feel like I can't do this on my own. And my thing for that is, because I felt that way too, it was really hard for me to ask for help, is two things. One, you have to be cautious of your energy, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. If you are struggling to receive help, then you're going to struggle to receive money. You're going to struggle to receive anything good in life, right? Because you have this like scarcity mindset, this energy that's not willing to actually receive and have abundance when receiving. Okay. So just keep that in mind. But two, I like to tell my clients, and like handholding is a good way to say it, but I like to say like, I'm walking this path with you. You're guiding. This is you doing it. If you hit a bump in the road, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to say, okay, go this way instead of that, or do this instead of this. But it's your journey. You're walking, you're doing everything. I can only lead you to the water you're drinking. So at the end of the day, you're doing it. It's all you.
I feel like I'm in a coaching session with you one-on-one right now. Like, I feel like I'm in a seminar and I'm just like,
you know what I mean?
Yes. No, yes.
It's all you guys, right? Like you guys are doing the work. You guys are putting it in. You guys are putting in all the work and doing it when it gets hard. There's only so much that a life coach can do for you. So I like to just remind people of that. Like it's your journey and you're making the choice. So you're in charge.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So what I help people with is mostly what I see is obviously anxiety and stress, like learning how to manage it, learning how to get your body out of that stress response and into relaxation. That's key because that's your foundation. And I was actually just talking to one of my clients before is if you don't have that cushion of being able to get yourself out of that stress response, then when you fall, because you're going to, that's life. Life's going to hit you in the face sometimes. When you fall, you're going to spiral into rock bottom.
Yeah.
If you have this foundation of knowing how to keep yourself regulated throughout these moments, you have a parachute. You're able to just slow yourself down and you don't hit as hard. So then you can get back up. So foundation work is huge. Nervous system regulation, that type of stuff, gut health, all that. Get you feeling good. And then afterwards, a big thing is a lot of people hold on to so much emotion. They have so many suppressed emotions that is showing up in their life as depression, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-love, lack of self-trust, trust in others, anxiety. They think that they have this like big problem with them, but really it's just a suppressed feeling that they never worked through that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of the work is
Yeah.
pushing those emotions up, working through them, and learning how to actually release them for good. And that also means going on a subconscious level. A lot of people like to look at the conscious issues. So like, my job sucks, so I'm going to change it. Same issues are going to show up in your next job.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all you, right?
Yes.
It's your reality is a projection of yourself internally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like break up with the boyfriend, your next boyfriend, next relationship, same issues. You're going to attract these same people,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because it's all a subconscious feeling and core belief inside of you. So everything in your reality, you're seeking out whatever is in front of you to support that core belief. So we dive deep into core beliefs. I'm not a big, and I may get a lot of shit for this, but I'm not a big believer of like affirmations.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
looking
we'll
at
say,
yourself.
yeah, we'll explain that. Speak on it. Speak on it.
Yeah, not a big believer of affirmations. I mean, I do affirmations, but I've also done the work to be able to get there. I
Yes.
think that they are helpful, but I think that there are many steps to take before you implement affirmations and
Okay.
implement positive self-talk. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the times, one, it's not going to work. If you don't believe fully
Believe it.
inside of yourself what you're saying, then one, you're wasting time, and two, you're just going to frustrate yourself because you're going to continue to say it and it's never going to feel real.
Right. One thing with affirmations that I think I had mentioned it a couple podcasts ago, when I do affirmations, I won't just be like, I don't know, what's an affirmation like, what I just said one to myself today. It was just like, I love feel like, what was it? I just wrote it down. My brain is so
Same. I don't know what's going on right now, but
affirmation. Like, I'm attracting my dream opportunities when I live in my life purpose. That's what I wrote this morning. Well, that could be an affirmation, but it's like, do I truly believe that? What? And then I always try to back it up with like things. So it's like, if I say I'm attracting my dream opportunities, well, this is an opportunity to speak to somebody who like I'm doing this podcast, which, I think is a part of my life purpose, and I'm attracting my dream opportunities, working with people who have gone through the same thing. Right. Or, there's been a couple of things that I've come through, like in my email regarding like my pod. And I'm like, well, there it is right there. Whenever I tell myself an affirmation, I always am like, well, where's the thing that proves that? And I don't say it in a negative way of like, well, where is it then? If it's not here, I'm like, no, here it is. Here it is in my life. Here it is in my life. I attract loving energy. And I think of all of my friends and all of like people that have interacted with me that have given love and loving energy. And that is like one of my favorite ways to do it. But it can be tricky because we're on social media. Do your daily affirmations. Okay, but are you actually like are you actually like using something to back up that affirmation? You go, money flows to me. Think of all the times that money's flown to you. I think of all the times that I was given like an extra tip, all the time that like somebody was like, oh, here's that money back that I forgot to give you. Or all the times I got a random check in the mail. Like one time I preach on here. I found $7,000 in an account one day, and I was like, yeah, money flows to me. And that's like my favorite one to use. So it's like, that's kind of like how I like to do them. Cause it's like, you can sit and chant them all day, or like other theories, like the mirror one. I haven't really tried that one myself. I don't know. We'll see, but it's just interesting. It's interesting, but yeah. Okay. So keep going, keep going.
Yeah, I agree. So I really like what you said, like how you look for in your reality things to support that belief so that you can lock it in. I love that. And like that's how our brain works, right?
Yeah.
Like when we say something, we need proof in our
Yes.
reality to prove that to ourselves. So that's amazing. I think one more thing that I would add to that is make sure that you're embodying that energy. So if you say that I attract money, but then the next thing you know, you're out and you're saying that's too expensive, or someone offers you money and you say no thank you, you're not embodying that energy.
Yeah.
And same things with like I see this a lot in like relationship or business owners, when they say like I'm worthy, or I have self-confidence, or I am talented, I'm worthy of this, but then someone like someone doesn't want to invest in them, and then all of a sudden they spiral.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you got to embody that. You got to say, okay, well, I'm worthy. That's their loss, right? Like you have to, in the moments of the most distress and uncomfortableness, embody that energy that you are putting into the affirmation. And I think that that's key.
I'm like literally sitting here, like, remember, this is a podcast. Like, you have, like, I'm like just getting so lost in what you're saying, because I'm thinking, and I hope everyone who's listening to this is thinking of their own times when they weren't doing that. And it's like, now you should do that. Like, I literally go to work after this, and like, I'm like sitting here and I'm thinking about like, what were those, like, sometimes I get stressed going into work, but I work in an industry where the money that I could be making is like limitless. Like it just, and that's what's so exciting about it. They always say, oh, you have the good days, you have the bad days. I'm like, well, every day can be a good day. And I got so good at doing it when I was home and then here, and so I'm thinking like about this, like when I go to work, catch yourself when you're starting to be a little like, when you're starting to have like a negative thought about it. So you've been coaching for what, 2 years, and those are some of the things you help your clients work through. So what made you want to be like this type of coach? Because when I was working with my coach and we were going through like my kind of life purpose, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, coaching was actually one of the options, but I thought about doing it like with like astrology a little, because I just love astrology. If you guys know, I've been obsessed with like looking at my birth chart, and it's been a crazy ride. But then I honestly, my thing was like, I don't know if I'm capable right now of taking on other people individually. Like that was like my thing. I was like, I don't know if I can, I don't know where it comes from, but I was just like, maybe right now, I just don't think I can like take on individual clients. Like there's something there where I'm like, I don't know, like it's so hard for me to maybe like, even like give my friends advice, like maybe I would look at it from this, because then I'm like, if you don't do it, I'm going to be so frustrated. Like, I don't know. So I was like, well, maybe we'll try a podcast. Comedy was actually one of my other things, to go to be a comedian. But I think I chose podcast for now. So like, what made you want to be like, no, I want to be a coach. Like, I want to coach people.
Yeah, honestly, for a while. So I was in the corporate world for a while, and
Yes.
I was all levels. I was literally a dispatcher all the way to a supervisor. So I was the hustle grind, like had to prove myself, moved up very quickly in companies, worked my ass off. I mean, I had a job where I was getting woken up most nights and at like 4 a.m. and I had to get up and get on my phone, on my computer, and not even get paid for it. And so it was crazy. So,
wait, I've been there. What am I saying? Like, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
That was literally me when I was in the military. I was like, wait, I was getting up at 3 a.m. to go do a work thing, and I was not getting paid any more money.
Yeah.
I was like, I've been there. It's we all have that same story. I was working in corporate. It's like,
Yeah, working corporate, and it sucks. I hated it. I was so drained.
Yeah.
Like I found myself in so many corporate positions where I was completely going off the rails. Like I have told off so many supervisors. I have literally lost my shit too many times in offices. And I would come home and it honestly almost destroyed my past relationship because I was so miserable.
Yeah.
So miserable. It destroyed my life. And I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. Some people can sit there and just deal with the anguish for the rest of their life. I can't. And I just felt this, like, I felt like an energy inside of me that was trying to crawl out and was like, you are worth so much more than this. Like, you are capable of helping people. You are capable of like completely blossoming.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was hard for me to believe for a while, because I was like some girl from a small town that, you know, like was a hot mess, honestly. And so I just like didn't believe it for a very long time. I was suppressing it. And as I started to get into like meditation and spiritual work, that girl started crawling her way out. And it was really hard to ignore her at some point. And so I finally was like, you know what? I always was the one to give my friends like advice. I was pretty good at it, not good at following it,
Yeah.
but I was very good at giving it. And so I was like, you know, it would be really cool to be like a life coach. And once I got to a point in my life where I felt like I got a hold of my anxiety, I was like, you know what, I'm doing it. And I invested and went and got certified as a wellness and life coach. And at first, they give you like a program to follow when you come out. And I was delivering the program to people, and I was so unaligned. I was like, what is this? It's not working. I was reading a script. People were not like, it just, the energy was off. And I started working on my own program, which is very hard, but very fulfilling. And so I built a program from scratch. The 90-day is from my experiences and from my research and from my learnings from what works. And I think that that's what's beautiful, is that like it's literally created from like results that I got myself, but also results that I've gotten from clients.
Yeah.
And now everyone who is in it now can benefit from it.
And I want to hold on to what that you just said, because that is so important. And I have a part that I want to revisit about how you said, like, you created it, like your 90-day. And I also love that you said, I went out, I invested, and I got the cert. That is so important to say, because a lot of people will not do things, you know, like because of like it cost money to do initially or to get those things. And like that in itself is just if you find yourself in that position where you're like, oh, like I want to do this, but it's this much money to go and do it. I love that you said invested. I love that. I love that you use that word. So you mentioned to me a while ago, you do the bottom up approach. Will you explain the bottom up approach?
Yeah. So bottom up is a little bit different than like therapy and traditional doctors.
Okay.
So a lot of therapy will focus on like CBT, EMDR, which is amazing work. But it's mostly talk work. And when you're stuck in anxiety and have these core beliefs at a subconscious level, just talking about it isn't going to give you lasting results. Okay. You need to actually heal it through your body. And that's what a bottom up approach is. So we focus solely on the body. So it's nervous system regulation, emotion release, actually releasing those emotions out of your body, moving through it, somatic exercises, gut health, fixing everything from top to bottom in your body. Then we actually work on reprogramming, but that is at the end.
Okay.
Right. And as needed. So it's trickled in there because, like I said, it's really important work. Yeah. But even like the work that I do with my clients, when it does come to reprogramming, it is still body-based. So I'll put them through let's say, for example, a mental rehearsal. The mental rehearsal is bringing them back to that moment that they need to release so that they fully feel those emotions again. Ooh. So that they can actually release them. So it's always back to the body.
Yeah, that I like that, because I remember my coaching style was like a little bit different. Like we went straight into like the coaching. She's like, here's how I do it. And we used like tarot to like speed up the process in a way. Like she was like, what do you think the order of the things you need to work on? And so I wrote her my order, and she was like, no, spirit says it's this order. And every single time we would be like, you know, I think the first thing was like finances, and then like this, or like something like that. Every single time I like worked on something, there would be an incident that would happen like literally a week later, a month later, and I was like, oh my God, I just prepared for this. And I remember one time, she was never wrong. You know, there was a situation where I was like, hey, like I'm supposed to move out of my place and move in with this girl. And she's like, tarot says, no, you're not going to like it. I move in with the girl not listening, and I move out 4 days later. And then like, and I was like, okay. And then there was a time that she was like, when we were dealing with finance part, she was like, you need to like have a savings of this much and you need to put it aside as an emergency fund. She's like, I can't see what it's for, but you'll need it. And it needs to get you through 4 months. And I was like, okay. And I had gone on a vacation to Jamaica, and I come back and we literally went into COVID 2 weeks later. And that got me through those. It was literally exactly 4 months until I landed my full-time job with like working with the military. So it was just like, it was a lot like how we went into it but I know we never really focused on like, the gut health. So, or anything. So I'm like, I'm wondering if we did like, I don't know, top to like bottom. I don't know. Cause I was just like, I liked it. I was literally getting thrown in learning about like angels and angel number and all this stuff that I was like, what is going on? So it worked, for like, the time being that like I did it and stuff. But yeah, I was just like, it was insane. I loved it. But I mean, it benefited me. But like, what do you think like the benefits of coaching are? Like, who needs coaching? And I think that's a trick question. Okay, good. I was going to say that's a trick question. Everyone, right. Okay.
Yeah,
I
everyone.
think I think it's great because it is that like one-on-one. And I loved doing like the actual coaching. Like I find so much joy in having like this conversation with you, but also it's like, I love doing like the homework. I love seeing the progress and the results, and just checking in with somebody is helpful. I think, there are some differences between coaching and therapy. And when I was in therapy, I did not like it. I just felt like I was just like talking out loud, and she was like validating my experiences. But also, I was in therapy, and then we were also in family therapy with the same therapist. And I was in therapy, and I was like talking to her, and she's like, I get it. You're right. I understand your feelings. And then we'd get into family therapy, and I felt just so invalidated, just so unheard. And I was like, and it was just like, the focus would shift onto like my mom in family therapy. And it would literally just be like my mom and my sister just going back and forth. And I was like, okay, are we ever going to like get to my things? Like, she's my therapist. We're in here because she's mine. And it's supposed to be family therapy where I'm being heard. And it was just so like mentally confusing that I was like, I'm never coming back to therapy again. So some people it works for therapy, but like, do you think there's like differences in like therapy and coaching?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
A lot of my clients actually have therapists. And so they work with both of us because we have very different approaches and we focus on very different things.
Yes.
Honestly, like a lot of the work with me and my program gives them the ability to become a lot more aware of what's coming to them and able to articulate what's coming up for them a lot better. So it actually improves their relationship with their therapist.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so I feel like people who have like deep rooted trauma should see a very specific therapist. And it's hard. I think a therapist is just like a coach. You need to find one that works for you
Yes.
and that you have a good relationship with. But at the end of the day, I recommend coaching only because you get very specific, sustainable steps to create habits, and you get direction on what to do in order to fix what's coming up for you. I think therapy is more so like getting it out,
Yeah.
but then a lot of people feel better when they leave therapy, and then all the same stuff just keeps coming up because they don't have actionable steps to take
Right.
in order to change their life.
Yeah.
So coaching, I mean, my 90-day is very intensive. So you get something to do every week.
Nice.
And it adds on each other. I also have worked with people with finances. I've worked with people with business. I've worked with people with relationships. It comes down to really what's coming up for you, but it all stems to what I say is the 4 bodies. It's either spiritual, mental, emotional, or physical. There's a misalignment somewhere.
Yeah.
And it shows up in your world in any aspect.
Yeah.
But when you said you were working with Tara, that's really cool. It sounds like she was very rooted in like spirituality, which is really cool. I have a sound healer and she's very rooted in spirituality. So
I've been getting like so like into it. Like it's interesting. Like once you kind of get yourself like out of like when you fall out of alignment, it's nice when I'm able to pinpoint exactly what it is. But I mean, and it was off the bat, she was like, tarot said no. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Tarot, like it was a lot, you know, and you go through the phase where people are like, you think you're weird. And like, you know, I've got crystals all over my house and I cleanse my energy, but it's helped a lot, especially when it comes to like energy, kind of like where I place my energy, who I allow into my energy and my space. I'm very picky with my home. I'm very picky with my body because of that. Like it's, you know, it's benefited all a lot, you know, but off the bat, I was like, okay, so this is what we're getting into off the bat. Like, you know, you go through the phase where everyone's like, you're such a weirdo. And I'm like, I'm not.
That's funny.
Like, so why do you think people reject coaching? And I like, you know, because like I said, I was like, I don't need help. I don't need help. Like, I've got it all together. It's okay to really sit and be like, I don't, like you said, you provide people with like steps. Like, here's a step to create those habits. It's okay to be like, to acknowledge that you might not know the steps to create that habit. There's so many reasons why we don't know so many things. I've come to terms with the fact that there's a lot of things that I just don't know, that I didn't know that a lot of people knew, that helped them be successful where I wanted to be, but I just wasn't taught. It's okay. I wasn't taught it. I can't be mad at myself, but now I have to learn it. And that's okay. I was thinking about it yesterday and I was like, sometimes I get so hard on myself. Why aren't you here? Well, I wasn't taught that, you know, or I think about all the things I'm like, oh, this sucks that I had to like figure it out for myself. Like, I just wish I had somebody to teach me. I'm like, yeah, but you're figuring it out for yourself. You're learning, you were taught. So I think we can be hard on ourselves for not knowing some things, but it's like, provide yourself with grace. It's okay, you know? So, but I think, why do you think like a lot of people like don't think about coaching or they reject the idea?
They have to take responsibility.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, let them know. Tell right off the bat. Let them know. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want to
it's
be faced
because,
with it. Yeah.
yeah, like they're going to have to be honest with themselves. They're going to have to admit what they're doing that isn't serving them. They're going to have to face all of their insecurities in their fate, like face to face, and they're going to have to beat them in order to get where they need to be. And they're going to have to take responsibility for the reality. No matter what was done to you, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal. And I think a lot of people struggle to accept that on a deep level, because it's not easy. And that's also too, I think a lot of people deep down know that like healing and transforming, it's not easy. It's something that you have to do every day, and in the moment. And I think it's hard for a lot of people. Also, we have a lot of mindset blocks. I think like when it comes to money, people are like in a very scarce mindset when it comes to money. So like if they think about investing in something, they're immediately like, nope. I mean, I've had to work through a lot of money issues with people. There's been people that I've talked to and I've literally helped them save up in order to get into my program. I'm not going to lower my prices. I'm going to help you get there.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's an investment in yourself. And if I lowered my prices, I'm disrespecting not only me, but you.
Yes.
I'm not giving you the opportunity to show up for yourself. And I think that that's really important. Right. So I think it's responsibility is the biggest thing.
No, I love that. I love like what you just said, because yes, just literally to like everything. It's not easy to come to terms. You know, we all like to think that, not necessarily that we're perfect, but we don't like to think that maybe we are responsible for these shitty things happening in our lives. And I'm like I'm trying so hard right now to reach like a past version of myself. Like I'm trying so hard to like get back to like, you know, get pulled into like, you know, some of the things like that I had done. Yeah. I think about it, I'm like, I allowed that friendship. I'm getting so frustrated right now. I'm like, I allowed that friendship. You know, but it's like, once you take that step to heal, getting on the other side of it is just so great. It is such a great feeling. And it's just one of those things. But again, it is an investment in yourself. And it's like any investment, I think, in yourself is a good investment in general, you know? And it's like, at the time of coaching, I was in a better financial position, but, you know, I still had to put the money aside for it. But that was one of the things that she's like, well, if this is important to you and you want to do it, you know, put the money aside. She's like, tack it on like another bill. We found my way of like, prioritizing like where I put my money and stuff. And that's it. I actually use that practice today. I'm like, if this is something that I really want, and it's really important to me, then it just goes on my bills list because those need to get done. Those are important to me. Those are things that I need and want. So I just tack it under there. Obviously that approach might be different for others, but like, that was just kind of like mine. And I was like, this is a part of me prioritizing myself. At the time, I was like, oh, I can't afford coaching. I needed to prioritize myself. And I'm so fucking glad I did, because like, you know, I don't even want to think about the person that I would be if like I hadn't, but it was like interesting. And I always say, like, when people look at like that are interested in your program, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm already like super interested. I'm like, I've had a coach, but I'm like, I could totally go for another one. I could totally use another one and just surprise myself.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, if you're looking at the cost of it and it's like, that's the thing that's like deterring you. It's like, I really challenge anyone to fix that mindset around it initially. Fix that mindset. Fixing your money mindset is probably like one of my favorite things that any person can really do. And you know, obviously any investment in yourself is a good investment, and you get what it's worth. You know what your worth is. People are going to get what it's worth. And I love the fact that you help people save up the money to do it. I honestly love that. I think that's just like great in general. So anyone who is listening, guys, like, hit her up. Like I don't, you know, I'm like, hello.
I'm here to help. I'm here to help.
I honestly, I'm like finding like just even talking to you, I think you're just like a radiant energy. It's comfortable, it's safe. I'm like, so just, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I might have to go sign up after this. So like, do you think the spiritual or holistic aspect of coaching turns people off?
I think it's something completely different. And
Yeah.
so I think it scares them.
Yeah.
And I think like, so spirituality is a big part of the program but the difference is like with your coach, she was able to tap into it herself and then guide you through it that way. That's really cool. What I do is I give you all the tools in order for you to unlock that spirituality for yourself and find that guidance for yourself. Meet your spiritual guides yourself. I'm just giving you that little push of being like, okay, this is what you do, and tell me how it goes. And then we start to like work through any type of blocks that you might have had during that. But with spirituality, I think people don't know what it means. I think when I say energy, people are like, what is that? I think that like religion plays a huge part in it, because some people are kind of like, well, I believe in God, I believe in this, so I don't want to put all of, you know, like I don't want to pray to the universe or whatever. But I want to encourage people to understand that spirituality means that you're connecting to your higher power, whatever you believe that is. So when you go into a meditation to meet your spiritual guides, if that is God, that's God. If that is Buddha, that's Buddha, right? Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times for the people that do it with me, it's just a beam of light.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really just whatever you feel comes up for you and what serves you. I don't give you specific things to believe in. It's just guidance on how to actually connect to that. It's a very important part of life.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that's another thing with like coaching too. It's like, it's a lot of times, like you said, you're like, one thing that it did for me was it pushed me to find my own answers. And because after I was done coaching with her, I think I only did it for like, I want to say 6 months. We did it every 2 weeks or something. I would just went off on my own thing and I started finding my own answers. You know, I would, if I felt so drawn to something, I would do it, test it, see, and then like, you know, see if I like it. If I didn't, I didn't, you know, like I tried tarot, wasn't drawn to it. Not my personal thing, but I love energy. I love Reiki. Oh my God. I have like a little like love for Reiki. Like I'm very picky with who does it, but it's the most incredible feeling after, you know, I went to an energy workshop the other day, and I kid you not, the best way to describe it was I felt like I knew God's plan. Like that was the best way. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Like I was driving, thinking about something, and just all like the thought came into my head. I was like, oh, it's going to work out this way. Like, and then it went away. And I was like, am I in alignment with God's plan? Am I aligned with my highest like source right now? Is the most incredible feeling that I've ever felt. And we did a bunch of like energy things. I actually want to have her on this podcast. She's great. But yeah, so it was insane. Like even like meditation. I will say that, you know, I really want to get closer to like meeting like my spirit guides. I know they're there. I know they'd be vibing, but like, I don't know. I really want to be able to do meditations, and like reach that point. Like that would be super interesting. But I know like some people, like they get turned off by like the spiritual and like the spirituality. They're like, what is that? Like, it's so weird, or you're weird. I'm like, I'm vibing. I am in alignment. I'm like living life right now. Like, I want you to just feel it just a little bit. Like, don't be so turned off by it, because like it's incredible, you know, especially like with guys too. You know, guys, I always see guys making fun of like, oh, if she's one of those spiritual girls. It's fun. It's so fun. Like, I feel like I know what I'm doing in life. I feel like I have direction, and like I'm confident, and like I literally feel like magic. Like I can just like I can like, you know, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so I don't know. I always like to ask people like if you feel like that's like a turn off or something. But I love how you're like, no, this is what it is. This is how I do it. And this is my program, you know, like, and you're going to like my program.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I can at a point confidently say that I can guarantee results,
yeah,
because if you follow every single thing that I give you, you will receive results. And I can guarantee that. So it's like when people are a little scared, I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what, that's your loss. Like if you're not willing to get a little uncomfortable, then you're not going to experience the life that you want. You can
yeah.
continue to feel like you're on this hamster wheel of stress and a sucky life. I mean, have fun,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's
Like
like
it
if
is
it
the
be,
best.
I preach be curious. It's okay to be curious. If you're drawn to something or something is like resonating with you in your brain, I always say like take action on it. It doesn't mean that it's a forever thing, you know? And I see a lot of people when it comes to like spirituality, they're like, oh, don't listen to this person, don't listen to that person, this. I'm like, if you're drawn to a person's energy or you're drawn to a person's like this, explore that a little bit. It doesn't mean that that is set in stone, you know? You can change your mind. I liked tarot for a little bit, and then I realized, yeah, you know, this isn't really for me. You know, I love like right now my thing is like energy work, you know, and you know, I had my phase where I was like, I need a crystal every week. I would like go treat myself and buy like a new crystal. And now, you know, I have a bunch and I just like keep them in certain places, but I just explore it. I'm just curious, or like I'm curious about this money manifestation thing. I'm curious about this new technique, like this new like manifestation technique. It's okay to be a little curious. And you know, I don't know. I don't like it's just something that, you know, when people are scared of it, it's like, well, what does that also say about kind of your limiting beliefs? What does that also say about, you know, you in general? So, but yeah, but I mean, if it's like if you're not ready or you don't want to do it, okay.
Yeah, I think it's also important too. Like a part of the program, once we get past like a good bit of the foundation work, is really just introducing all different types of modalities to you for you to connect to it and see what fits for you. I have clients that don't really like meditation, so they don't meditate. I have some clients that don't really like breath work, so they don't really do breath work. I say that you have to have at least some sort of ground like foundation with breath work. But if you don't want to do like 30-minute long breath works with like breath holds and stuff, you don't have to. So I think an important part, at least in my program, is you get introduced to a lot of different types of modalities and you find what works for you.
I
Um,
like that.
but I mean, spirituality too, it's literally just connecting to a higher part of yourself.
Yeah.
It's inside of you. It's a part of you. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah. No, and I love my higher self. She's fun. She's cool.
Yeah.
She's a vibe. She's cool. So do you feel like there's a collective shift going on in society where people are being inspired to heal? Because I've noticed like many people kind of like hopping on the healing train. And I say that in like a very like just like, you know, it's like this thing, you know, I'm seeing like celebrities and artists and creators talking about healing, spirituality, manifestation, and that's great. It's important to have it out there. But then I wonder, like, is this becoming like a trend, or is it like that collective spiritual awakening that like we've all heard about, like the collective, or is this like because it's something that I am doing that now I'm seeing my reality shift? So I was like, okay, is this, you know, but then it gets tricky though, because like I love it regardless. I love that it's out there. More people need to hear it, you know, and but also if it's like becoming like a little trend where people are like, oh, heal, it's like that's where it gets tricky, because
Yeah.
there's so much good information that's being put out, but it's like now you actually have to live in that truth, right? Especially when it comes to social media. So for my listeners, just bear with me. When it comes to social media, you know, it's a great way to share information and these ideas and beliefs, especially like on TikTok. It's a great way to kind of get it out there, and to plant the seed, you know, that idea, to inspire others to heal. And like, let's say manifest your desired life. That's like a big thing that I've been seeing everywhere, how to manifest your desired life, or like these hacks or like these inspirational quotes and like hot takes to change your life, your situation, and elevate your life, and it makes sense. But it's like, but now are we doing the work to actually do it? Or are we just like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, example, like I had like this quote that was on my phone. I hate screenshots. I have so many on my phone all the time. But it was a screenshot and I literally screenshot it specifically for this. Watch me not even be able to find it now that I've screenshotted like a million bazillion things in this phone. Okay, basically it was a quote that I literally just posted. I can probably remember it. And it was saying like it was like Tinkerbell flying away with an attitude. And it was like me leaving behind everything in my life that doesn't align with me. And I posted that and I shared it, and a lot of people hearted it and a lot of people reshared it. Okay. But then I was like, okay, but what are the things that I've done in my life to prove this statement? I've had to get rid of like friends. I've had to get rid of like relationships. It's like, oh, I just ended this relationship that literally, truly, I literally had to sit here and say, this is not in alignment with me. And I did it, but then I was like, I moved to Arizona. I left the military, like, and then anyone who's heard that episode, like that was like a big thing. I literally told them like, this isn't in alignment with who I am anymore. And they're all just staring at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, obviously like when I share post, it is things that like resonate with me or, but it's like when we see something, hear it, it's like a lot of times we're like, oh yeah, I like the sound of that. But it's like, but are you actually living that? Are you making like the conscious choice to resonate with that? I think that's where it gets so tricky. And again, I think that's just like something we should be asking like ourselves, I like to share when I post things, to like share it, have other people resonate it, but I just like always wonder, like, is the collective doing the work to kind of follow through with that? And that's like the only thing that and I'm not trying to like be a hater. I'm not trying to like be like a hater and be like, about somebody else who's like, oh, she posted about love and light, but she doesn't act like that, or her life isn't like that. That's like not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like it's one thing to like understand something and to agree with a statement, but then it's another thing to like do it. You can read all of like the healing quotes all day long. You can listen to the TikToks about healing. You can post everything to your story all you want, but it's like, are you really doing the conscious things to live that, to affirm that? What are you doing to make that statement true? And I think that is why I love coaching, because of the action that is like involved. But yeah, I don't know. It's just been like this thing, like, yeah, I love the healing train, but it's like, are you on that train, or are you just like watching that train go by? If that like makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Cause I just like,
I think a lot of people are watching it
okay.
go by.
Okay.
I think also too, like mindset coaching, anxiety coaching, that type of stuff is so new. A lot of people don't even know what that means. Like I talk to so many people and they're like, I didn't even know this was an option. They thought that therapy was the only option. And so it's new, but like you said, it's also becoming a trend to heal, to do this, to do that. But people don't realize that it's just like the affirmations. You can say affirmations all day, you can journal, you can do this, but if you don't actually take specific steps to work on your inner self, your inner child, move forward past that trauma and actually heal, forgive, let go of that resentment, learn how to navigate fear, learn how to let go of control. If you don't learn how to do those things, it's an art. And that's why I also, not just because I'm a coach, but I also promote coaching, because that's going to help you move through those so that you can actually implement what you are resonating with on Instagram. And I'm also a big proponent too of being real on Instagram. Like I get on my stories and I'm like, today, anxiety almost kicked my ass. Like, and I share my story a lot. And I think it's really important to be a human at the end of the day. So I think a lot of influencers are guilty of preaching healing and not really, walking the walk. So
yeah, I think with my Instagram, like, obviously mine's been growing since I've been here, which is great and stuff, but I forget that like people don't understand like my personality, especially when it comes to like my social media. I'm like, it's not like an aesthetically thing. Like you will not, like, I just post on there. You can always tell if you're ever actually truly paying attention, which I don't think anyone really truly is, to my Instagram. You can tell when I'm in a high vibrational state. You can tell when I'm in a low vibrational state based on like what I'm posting, what I'm saying. Like, but I've had a lot of people say like, it's so hard to like gauge your personality, like on Instagram. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I try. And then other people are like, oh, we can tell you're just being like authentic. I'm like, yeah, like I will say it like, here's what happened today. Here's how I'm feeling about it. But here's how what my mindset is saying. And like, here's how I'm going to like overpower this or something like that. I don't know. So it's really interesting. Yeah, I think I've been maybe possibly I subconsciously feel like I'm supposed to have like this aesthetic influency Instagram page. And I'm like, I don't. And I don't say that in like I don't have an aesthetic Instagram pick me page. I literally just like, I'm like, I just post as if I'm talking to like my group chat and as if I'm talking to like my friends. So, and I think it's important to be honest, authentic, and transparent, especially like if you do something kind of like within like coaching or even like having a podcast. My podcast is meant to be vulnerable, transparent, and that's it. I'm like, I'm going to tell you guys. I mean, sometimes I come on here and I tell you like, things that I still have to work through. Like if we ever get into like trauma and stuff like that, I'm getting there, guys, just not yet. So, but yeah, so I always just think it's interesting. I have this thought, about this conversation because I feel like it leads me down like a rabbit hole sometimes. And it's kind of like, are we practicing what we preach? And so, but the reason I got stuck on that was because like sometimes I get worried about like coming on this podcast and saying like certain things and beliefs that others could take as advice, or they could be like, oh, that resonates with me. That sounds like inspiring. I want to try that. And then I look at like some of my own personal situations, which are like, friendships, relationships, where I'm like, oh my God, I'm contradicting myself right here. Like, oh my God, that's not in alignment with what I just said. And it's like, I'm not practicing what I preach. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, in a way, like I am practicing, like, if I say something like, I know my worth and I won't let anyone else make me feel less than I am. Okay, but how many times have I like slipped and gone back to that relationship or that friendship or that thing that wasn't in alignment with that, or that person or that situation that made me feel less than I am, and it gets so tricky. But then I'm like, okay, but each time I slip, I'm learning something. I'm getting better at this and I'm going through it, which I'm like, okay, that is practicing. So I went down this whole fucking rabbit hole and I was like, you're not practicing what you preach. And then I was like, I am practicing it though. I am not, it's not perfect what you preach, so it's really interesting. They say like what practice is like, I think I wrote it down. Practice is to perform repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain. So I guess like that new thought or belief or affirmation is like kind of being reprogrammed as I practice it until I can like believe it. And then once I like believe it, I start to live it. And then I don't know. I think that approach just helps me have a little bit more grace with like my journey. And when I do have those moments where I am like getting hard on myself for, not maybe living that affirmation, kind of like what we talked about earlier with that affirmation. So yeah, I don't know. I think it helps like my healing a little bit, when I feel hypocritical or I feel like I'm contradicting myself, or I feel like I can't share something with like from people from my own journey because I'm not like fully there yet or whatever. So I don't know. I wanted to like add that in there because I was like, it gets so tricky when we get on the topic of like other people like posting certain things, or even myself, even me posting. I'm going to say me, I won't say other people, me posting something, but I'm like, oh my God, am I actually living that? Like, and then I start to freak out. So
I think there's two things, right? And I always tell my clients is instead of focusing on never having situations where you slip up, focus on awareness.
yeah.
So you have awareness that you may have not lived your truth in that moment. That's all you need to move forward and choose to act differently in the future. So like, for example, a couple days ago, I forgot my key fob to get into the gym. As I'm leaving, because I have to now drive back home to get it, I called myself dumb, and I caught myself, and because I try not to talk negatively to myself. So as I'm saying the word dumb, I catch myself and I'm like, no, like, don't say that. Like, I'm not dumb. I just forgot the keys and I got in the car. It's not that it didn't happen or that it's never going to happen. It's that I'm aware and I make a conscious decision to act differently. So if you for some reason slip up, we all are going to.
Yeah.
It's you honestly should expect it. You should expect to slip up, and you should, like you say, see it as a lesson.
Yeah.
And I also tell people too, like, the universe is always going to give you experiences and times for you to practice who you want to be. And so if you have these times in your life, these relationships that are really testing you, and you notice like, oh my God, I'm not living up to my truth, it's okay that you didn't catch it before it happened. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's okay that you caught it in the moment.
Yeah.
Just now go towards your truth. And like you said, you get better and better at it. But
Yeah.
I've noticed that like a lot of people focus on like, okay, I don't want these thoughts to happen. I don't want these emotions to happen. I don't want to slip up. You are always going to feel like you're failing, because that's very unrealistic. You're going to have those
Yeah.
situations. So
No,
you need,
that does help, you know, and I love the whole catching yourself. I for some reason I heard this and I think it resonates with me. They say like when you're like doing things with water, you get like more inspired. I don't know if it's because I'm a Pisces or whatever, or my moon's in Pisces. I don't fucking know. But I'll be like doing dishes or in the shower, and that is where I get like my most like crazy thoughts, and like I just like really start thinking. And I was doing the dishes the other day and I was like, I don't remember, I was thinking about something, and all of a sudden I think it was like a work issue, like a work thing, like adjusting, and I was like talking out loud to myself like, here's the situation that you're in, here's how it's making you feel. And I just had like a negative thought, and I was like, and I sat there and I was like, redirect your thought. And I literally stopped doing my dishes and I was like, you're not finishing until you redirect that thought, until you figure out where the fuck that came from, because it just didn't sound like me. And I
yeah,
was like, wait, where did that come from? That's not you. We haven't had this. It was like normal. Like I was like, we haven't talked to ourselves like this in so long. Like redirect that thought. Like that is where your focus needs to be right now. Screw these dishes, screw this issue. Like if you continue to think this about yourself, I honestly think it was like, I think I said something like, I don't have what it takes to do this job, like with my working like here. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, you know, the type of person you are, you know that you have what it takes because you've done this, that, and the third. When have you ever, one of my good things about myself is like, I have a very strong work ethic. Any job I've ever really been thrown into, I've always worked to succeed. You know, I've always wanted the next step. I'm like, this is just the same thing. Like, so it was really interesting. Catching yourself is so important. And I love when I do that, because then I'm like, okay, switch it up, think about this differently. And then I feel better after. And I'm like, okay, now you can approach it from this mindset, because maybe you were approaching it from this whole you don't have what it takes mindset. That's why I'm freaking struggling right now. That's why I'm stressed out talking out loud, because I'm approaching it from here. When I approach it from the that's not true, think of all the past situations where you've literally proved that wrong. I answer my own question. And I literally came up with a solution like 30 minutes later. I was like, okay, that was wild. That was fun, you know? So it's just like, sometimes it's up and down. It's like so up and down sometimes, but like, I don't know. I think I'm the type where I have to like talk it out loud to myself. And then I'm like, okay, that helps. But I do think it starts with like, switching your mindset, catching yourself when you're having that really bad self-talk, if that makes sense to like anyone listening. I keep forgetting that we're doing like a podcast right now. So I'm like, keep forgetting that like we have an audience. So what do you think the common things people need to work and heal on, like that come to you? Obviously not going into people's business, but like, you know, what are the big things that, you know, think maybe people our age, we'll start with people like our age. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay. I'm 24, 25.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think people in like our age probably need to like heal or work on that maybe they don't know about?
Yeah, I think a lot of us, and not even our age, I work with a lot of older people too, and I see this all the time. It's self-worth, like
Yeah.
being worthy of what you are seeking and what you want to achieve, being worthy of love. I think, look, parenting's hard. And I think that a lot of parents try their best,
Mhm.
but I also believe that everyone does their best with the resources that they have in the moment. So, and I also believe that a lot of parents go through trauma and abuse while they're trying to parent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think that any child is going to be raised perfectly. Our subconscious beliefs, our core beliefs, are majority of them are formed 0 to 3 years old. So I think that a lot of how we grew up is impacting our how we see our reality, obviously, but I see it in everyone. It's self-worth, self-love, being able to trust people, and control.
Yeah.
We want to be in control.
Yeah. I
Anytime that we feel uncomfortableness, we're like, oh, like I need the steering wheel. Like I need to control it. I need to guide myself. But at the end of the day, like it's also a lot of what I teach in the program is just like learning how to let go and let the universe guide you.
yeah.
Because when you grip onto that steering wheel, you majority of the time are steering in the wrong direction,
Okay.
and
I
you're
like
not giving yourself a chance to actually experience where you're actually supposed to be going. I mean, for me, this is my belief, but I believe that our life already is completely mapped out for us. So I believe that if we actually just trust in whatever you believe in, God, the universe, whoever,
yeah.
and let them guide you, and you just follow that, then you will experience so much more healing and clarity than you will trying to actually guide it yourself.
Yeah. I think of all the times where I was taking control, like in relationships and friendships. And it led to me having these like anxiety attacks and these like panic attacks. And because like the situation wasn't going how I had it planned, or it gets to the point, this was a long time ago. So if anyone's going through this right now, like, and this is what you're feeling, I think this is so important. When you might not realize you're trying to control the situation, the friendship, the relationship, when you're having these like panic attacks, like, why is this not going the way that I want? Why are they not responding the way that they should respond? Because I was subconsciously already creating it in my head and I didn't realize it. And I was like, no, you should be saying this. God forbid they gave the wrong fucking answer. I would lose my freaking mind. This is not how I had it going on in my head. This is not how it should go. We don't realize it. That one was one, I think I have like more control issues now in the state of like physical control. Like, I don't like being out of like conscious control now. So like that plays a big impact when I'm going out. If I'm drinking, I'm like, or I don't like do drugs because I'm like, I need to be in conscious control, aware of my surroundings, so that's just kind of like my new little baby. I just like took my control issues and I put them in a different focus box. But yeah, I just remember like, a lot of times I was trying to like control relationships, friendships, certain situations. I ended up just being more hurt in the end, more hurt because I was like, this is uncomfortable. I don't know where this is going. I can't, like, I'm starting to panic. You doing this is making me feel like this because I just like, it's a lot of it, my abandonment issues. When a guy would do something, I'm like, well, now I'm feeling this and like lashing out. So it's really interesting. I definitely feel if anyone resonates with that, definitely like look into coaching, because once you clear those blockages, you feel this like weight lifted off your shoulder. Even once I healed like my family trauma and like my like trauma with my mom, oh my God, I felt like this weight was lifted. And I was like, this is not my burden anymore. I don't need to hold this. So that was like one of my favorite things that I did. But I wanted to ask, what what do you do with like the energy healing part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that looks different and really depends on like what people are dealing with. But for example, I really just guide people on how to actually connect to their energy, because a lot of people don't even know how to find it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, I don't even know what this means, what it feels like how do I find it? How do I connect to it? So one of my favorite ways to connect to it, and when you said that like sometimes people think it's like weird or like they're afraid to like feel weird, I always tell people, go in a room by yourself, set up ambiance, like put some candles on, whatever you got to do. Okay. I give them sound therapy. Sound therapy is a huge part of my program. And then, so like hypnosis, bilateral stimulation, chakra work, that type of stuff. So I have them listening to that type of stuff, and I have them move freely. I tell them to just let go and let their body move however it wants to move. And I mean, I think that that's a really great way for you to connect to that spirituality and that just like energy, because you can feel it. And
Yeah.
then a lot of the techniques that we do, people actually start to feel like the tingling. They can feel like actual energy in certain parts of their body. A lot of people will actually start to feel like their spiritual guides like coming towards them and like feel that presence. So it's really just like guiding them to like how to receive that, like open up to it. Because if you try too hard, you're not going to get it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I'm gonna go in a room after this. I remember I went through my phase of like doing like hypnosis all the time. Like I would like fall asleep every night to like one of my favorite like sleep hypnosises. Even now, I have like my sleep meditations and like I created my own little like affirmation thingies for myself. And when I listen to them when I go to sleep, I just like sit there and I think and I'm like, oh, remember that time that this happened? Like, so I like did it myself once and it was fun, but like I can't go to sleep with the TV on anymore. There's like a bunch of things that I've changed to really help my sleep because I was like, yeah, this is important. Like being a distracted, like I used to go to sleep with the TV on all the time and that would be so soothing to me. Now I'm like, turn that shit off. Like I can't. I actually went for a long time without a TV in my bedroom for I think the past like 2 to 3 years because I literally was like, it's bad for my sleep. It's bad for my sleep. I have one in there now. I've gotten better at it, but so I wanted to talk about also, let's see, what I asked, I guess, what are some of the signs that you might need coaching? If anyone's sitting here like, I probably need coaching. If you like have been obviously resonated with anything that we've been saying, but like I said, having like anxiety in relationships or your friendships, attracting, if you're like the type that's like, I just can't attract the right guy. I hate to say it, I really do. I really do,
You.
but you need that's I've been there. I can't attract the right guy. I just keep attracting this. Um, maybe you should look into coaching
Yeah.
respectfully.
I think too, the biggest thing is if you feel like you can't control your emotions and
Okay.
you feel like your emotions have control over you, if you constantly feel like you are, I call it like a teapot ready to like whistle. If things get to you very easily, like if you're someone who will explode, because like, look, a lot of people, this was me. I used to see that as sticking up for myself and standing my ground, but I was also very energetically drained after that. I felt like shit after it because they just took all my energy.
Yeah.
That person just sucked it out of me and I allowed that to happen. And now I have to do the work to get it back.
Yeah. I would
So,
cry. Mine was crying. Like just
yeah,
full on like bawling. And everyone's like, why the fuck
yeah.
are you crying? I don't know. Cry.
Yeah, so it's just like if you feel like you don't have control over your emotions and who takes your energy and what situations take it and like how you would like to respond, if you want to be that person that can sit down and be calm in very tense situations and explain and articulate your feelings in a way that's going to bring results rather than more fighting or yelling, then
Or
coaching's for
strains
you.
on that relationship. Once you blow up on somebody, it's like, well, now you got to heal that now because now,
Now you're out of control.
now,
Right.
yeah. And now, like, now it's like, now that's just extra stress. And some people just be like, I just would rather not, and it's like, okay. Like, and I know a lot of people that are avoidant too. They're like, they'll do something and it's like, okay, well, now you just like strain that relationship or like, in my past, and especially with my mom, blow up and then just like expect everything to be fine. Oh, well, it wasn't a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
it was a big deal. Like
I
it
think
definitely
it's,
was a big deal. I'm hurting. So
yeah, I
definitely
think it's
interesting.
huge too for
Yeah.
parents that want to stop the cycle of trauma and want to stop the cycle of like, what they experienced as kids. I think that that's honestly becoming a trend too. Like people in our generation like want to stop the trend of, how we grew up.
Yeah.
And I think that coaching is your first step for that because you will get
Generational
control of
trauma.
your emotions. You'll understand what's coming up for you in the moment. You will have a toolbox full of modalities and tools on how to navigate that. So I think honestly, everyone can benefit from a coach, but I think like if you're a new business owner, get a coach,
Yeah.
get a life coach, because you are going to experience these mindset blocks that you would have never experienced if you never became a business coach. Like with your pricing, you're going to want to lower them if someone gives you some pushback.
Oh my
Self-worth.
God, I need a business coach. I'm like sitting here and I'm like, oh my
And
God.
like business coaches too. When I had a business coach, I also had a life coach, because business coaches, a lot of the times they help you with that mindset stuff, but it's amazing when you can just really focus on like your business strategy with them, and then go to your life coach and be like, okay, this is what's coming up for me. And I think it's from like when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Right. And then they can help you work through that and give you real tools to be able to fix that. So
Okay, I like that. I like that. Yeah, because I was like curious because like obviously people are gonna be like, well, how do I know if I need a coach? Yeah, I like what you said. I would say like and there's so much more to it. I think for me, family trauma was really big. Like I said, I was holding a lot of like pain from like my relationship with my mom and like projecting that onto people. Um, Created a lot of anxiety and anger. I would say money mindset too. If you're curious about money mindset, everyone has a different relationship with money, but healing that money mindset is incredible. I grew up in a household like where I didn't have a lot of money. So when I started making a lot of money, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm not going to deny myself anything. And it's something that I'm like, yeah, that's great to have. But then also it's like, draw that to the point where it's like now you're not overindulging on one side. I said like, maybe some people aren't sure of like, their life purpose, or they're not really fulfilled, whether they're be their job in school or whatever. I think we're finally reaching a place where people are becoming more understanding that going to college isn't for everybody, and that's fine. If it's for you, that's for you. But there's a lot of things that actually go into being able to like do well full time as a student. Like I was losing my fucking mind. Like props to anyone who was like doing it on their own. Holy fuck. Insane. I literally couldn't. It was so hard for me. But I just think I see a lot of people kind of stuck in their own like mental prison, and they don't see a way out, or they've just been like, okay, it is what it is. But it's like it doesn't have to be. It really does not have to be. I was just at a point where I was curious about coaching. I'm a curious person. Some people don't think they need it. I was just shocked though at the things that I needed to work on and work through, because they were things that I'd never heard of. Money mindset. I was like, what the fuck is that? What is that? And it's led me down this path of like understanding so many other things, hearing about things, being interested in things, like a save, like your emergency fund. I didn't know what the fuck that was. Investing. I didn't think that was like an option for me. Like just it's crazy kind of like once you change your mindset and you open your mind to things, like what kind of comes in your reality, to like help you elevate. So generational wealth. I was like, what the fuck is that? I just thought that was like I thought like that applied to like old money only. I didn't know. Attachment style and codependency. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still working on some relationship stuff over here, but it's fine. It's a vibe. Codependency, like I said, didn't think I had it. Anxious attachment. That's me to a T. And sometimes I wonder, would I rather have anxious attachment? Would I rather have avoidant attachment? I don't know, but yeah, that one gets me. So I think it's like interesting when, especially if you like don't know your attachment style. That one sent me down a fucking rabbit hole.
yeah, I also with the money mindset, that one's huge. Because when I like you, I grew up with not much money. And with this work, I have gone from someone who is living out of my car and just like, working to be able to eat. And then fast forward to the past year and a half, I invested $20,000 in myself, went on a road trip by myself, completely paid for all of that, and then made that money back and more.
Yes.
So it's really just like the mindset shifts and the energy shifts are real. And if you can learn how to harness it, which is like what a coach can help you do, because it's all inside of you. You all have it.
Yes.
Everyone has this ability. It's just your coach is going to help you move
Activate it.
towards it
Yeah.
and see it and harness it. And then what cup should you be putting it in at what time? So it's all possible. But yeah, I mean, I think it's true. I think like you said, when you feel like you're in a mental prison, there's so much to life. Like life's beautiful. And
It
I used
is.
to never think that.
Yeah, it can be. It sucks. I remember being in a place where I was like, I don't think it is. I don't think so. This
Oh God,
fucking
I
sucks. Get
hated
me out
life.
of here. I'm quit.
Yeah, I
I
was
quit.
like, get
And
me
now I'm
out.
like, I feel like I'm in this threshold where I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm about to be able to create that whole like heaven on earth, you know? And it's not that life, obviously there's shitty things going on 24/7. You know, I can't sit here and be like, oh, life is so great. It's perfect. No, there's crazy, awful things happening. But it's like, it's just when you, not my selfie light going out. Okay, screw it. I don't know. I was just like, you know, life can be so much better. You know, you can still be like a happy person, like in regardless of like what's going on. It's like you don't have to make it like harder, I guess, you know. It wasn't just like a tough pill for me to swallow that, like, hey, maybe you aren't all as your best as you could be, you know, you're not being your best self right now. And that's okay to like admit. I was gonna ask because we went a little bit over time, that's okay. What was the healing that you're most proud of doing yourself?
Oh, it's a big question. I think the most healing that I was proud of doing myself is forgiving my mother,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So I think that really, because like obviously we still have our issues, whatever, it's a parent, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of hate inside of me, and it came out at the worst times.
Yeah.
I was someone that like I would fight like 100%. I was very hateful. Like people were scared of me. And looking back on that, I hate that. But at the end of the day, I know that was the Liz just trying to protect me because I didn't have the easiest life.
Yeah.
Didn't have the hardest life, but didn't have the easiest one.
Yeah.
And so just being able to forgive that. And so like I haven't since like my college years where I explained to you like how I felt, I don't have those feelings anymore. Even on my like darkest days, I don't think about ending my life. And I think that just comes from me genuinely healing
Yeah.
from what I went through.
No, I 1,000% like agree. And it's like, as I'm talking to you, I'm like sitting here and I'm like, I 1,000% understand what you're saying. And it's like, I want everyone who's listening to be able to, whether you don't understand it, but want to feel that feeling that we're talking about. Like it is actually a good feeling, you know, once you do heal it, you know. I've worked on a ton of forgiveness with, you know, my mom as well. And I've just learned, I'm like, you know what? Like you were also like you said, some people are trying to parent while in abusive situations yourself. I'm like, that was just you. Like, I can't be mad. You were doing the best that you could with the resources that you had. And she hadn't healed her trauma. Honestly, I'm like, maybe for Christmas, we could all do like a coaching thing for, I'm like, let me see what the Christmas fund is looking like this year. Because I'm like, we could all do like a fun coaching family Christmas coaching together. So, do you feel like anyone is ever fully healed?
I think that there can be specific things in your life that you can fully heal from, like what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the healing journey and the self-development journey is forever going.
Yeah.
But I was just currently working with a coach and she did say something to me and it hit me. And it was like, you have to be aware if you're making healing and self-development a part of your identity and not allowing yourself to be who you are right now. And I was like, because I'm someone who like in January, I'm going to a self-development retreat in Mexico. I'm just constantly looking for development. It's, you know, sometimes I question myself, is it a deep root that I don't think I'm enough? So I need to just keep developing, keep changing, keep being someone who's worthy. And when she said that, I was like, whoa, like just being able to be yourself in the moment without having to change anything. Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, oh my God. Or I think of all the times that I've like been around friends and they've been going through it and I try to approach it from a healing aspect. And I'm like, they're not asking for this shit right now.
Yeah,
They're not
sometimes you just
asking for
gotta
this
feel
shit.
it.
Yeah. Or like sometimes I know I'm not being my best self and I'm like, this is just a part of who I am. Like I have my low vibrational, high vibrational. And I've always told people like, I don't like to drink often. It's a whole thing. I have a whole thing against it. Sometimes I do go out though. but I know what happens after. My body aches. And then the next day, my brain, I'm in the worst low vibrational state ever. It's where all the fucking thoughts creep in. I just sit there and I ride through it. Or I'm like, you know what? You totally did that thing, or you said that, and that was not coming. It's just so, it's crazy. I'm just like, oh my God. But I think that is important, like making this journey, like not my whole identity. And now I'm going to sit here and be like, okay, who am I outside of? Because when they always say, like, oh, what do you like to do? Oh, I like to meditate and I like to work on my healing.
Yeah.
What? Other things. I'm actually going to think about that for a long time today. So I do want to say you do a 90-day program.
Yes.
Tell us about the 90-day program, okay, for those who are interested, because everyone who is listening to this should be interested.
Yeah, so it's a 90-day program. It's called Release and Restore. And we meet weekly. You get access to an app where you get delivered weekly action steps every week with videos, meditations, breath works, all that good stuff, tips to live a healthy lifestyle, regulate your sleep, get your gut health in order, get your natural energy back. And then like I said, releasing emotion, releasing your attachment to anxiety, because being anxious and stressed actually becomes a habit. So releasing that and releasing all of your like fear, what you're holding on to, what you need to let go of, and then restoring your body. So connecting to your spirituality, connecting to the earth, grounding, just becoming more aware of who you are as a person and what direction you want to go.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Cause I obviously said I worked with a coach for six months, I believe, and it was quick. But I'm actually curious about this 90-day program. And now I feel like I should just like try it. I think I've been struggling with like my diet and overall like eating. And I think that's like impacting my mind because like I'm tired. Sometimes I fall out of alignment and I feel stuck. And it was never something that I really worked on. So I think I'm being drawn towards that lately. So I think this is like my confirmation. I'm new to the energy work and stuff, but you can tell when you're being guided to explore something. So I think that's kind of where I'm at. But now I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I should just like go for this, try this. Like you said, there are so many things like as we're talking, I'm like having these points where I'm like, oh, I could still benefit. I think that is one thing that I really want to get across to anyone who's listening. Even though I've done it before, I would do it again. I would do it again. I would invest in myself again, because what's going to happen is I'm just going to come out a better version anyway. And I'm going to get the little things, as we're talking, there's things that I'm resonating with already that I'm like, I'm interested. I want to learn that. I want to change that. And if somebody who's already done it can sit here and say it again, I'm interested in that. I would do this again with you this time to get these things. Then anyone who hasn't done coaching should be interested. I just think that's just it saying it. Like, so, I do think it is the best investment that you can make, but I did want to touch back on something you said a while ago about your style, how you do it, how you're worth. I say, find a coach that resonates with you. I do like you a lot. I'm like sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, like this makes just so much sense to me. And it's like, and don't let the holistic and the spiritual aspect of a coach turn you off. Listen to their story, feel their energy. If you like listening to them, if you like engaging with them, it's like, if you've stayed this long in this fucking episode, like, I think that's just enough, to really take the step. I never tell my collective audience really to do anything. This is the only thing I will tell them to do, to look into, to get curious about, and to even like get excited about. And I really hope the idea of coaching haunts you until you take a step on it. Like literally, like it just even explore like coaches in the area, coaching styles. What is coaching? Set the seed in your mind, because it's just one of those like, I just think it's just one of those things in life that you just should do. You never know what you need to work on, address, heal. And we don't like to think we're broken people. We don't like to think there's something wrong with us. There's just some things we can work on. It's okay. It's like anything. So I don't know. I would say that we're all spiritual human beings. Allow yourself to be curious if you feel drawn to it. Like I honestly am like, I should just do this fucking program. And then we can do another episode later once the 90 days are up on it. So yeah, I just wanted to leave it at like, make yourself a priority, make your growth a priority, commit to yourself, because you're going to be grateful for the results. Coaching is a gateway to just so much more. And I think it's a great place to start, especially if you feel like therapy might not be sufficient enough. And I say this all with like confidence, straight up confidence. Like I would say like, I'm not going to say, I was going to say like, or your money back, but I feel like people would really hold me to that. So like, no, but I'm saying it is such a good investment. Like that's it. Simple. If you're curious, that's good. You know, I've said it before on my other manifestation episode. Sometimes it's good to be curious. And if anything in this episode resonated with you, you feel drawn to it, take it as a confirmation. Tell people how they can find you, reach out to you, get a hold of you, stalk you like I did. Let them know how they can like find you.
Yeah. So, I mean, my main page, I would go to my Instagram page. So it's wellness with dot Liz, two Z's.
We'll add that in here.
And the link in my bio has everything in there. Different ways to work with me is the 90-day program. You can schedule a 60-minute mindset breakthrough call. So if you have something that you have on your mind that you want to just like maybe touch on, we can hop on a call, or you can sign up with a full day of voice memos and messaging with me as well. I offer a lot of free content in my Facebook group, so go and join that. And every month I pick a winner to be coached live. You can also be anonymous as well, so you can have a chance of getting coached for free.
Oh my God, that sounds so fun.
Yeah, so those are the ways that you can be coached or just like work with me or find me.
Yeah.
But I also want to let you guys know, like, if you are curious about coaching, feel free to reach out to me. Even if we're not a good fit, I know a bunch of other coaches that have different approaches. I just think coaching in general is good for you. So if I'm not a good fit, I want to help you find the right one.
I love that. I love that so much. I love obviously watching your Instagram. And if you guys haven't figured out by now, you guys should be following her. Watch her reels because they're very enlightening and they really help you look at things from a different perspective. But I also think they help plant the seed, right? Yeah. They help plant that seed, and the seed is the idea. And that is like so important, right? You got to plant that seed, that idea, and like watch how everything unfolds. You know, I just challenge everyone to think about the things that they want in life, and elevate in their life and kind of work on and heal. And you can take a private moment to yourself, right? What are the things that I want to work on? What are the things that I want to heal? Who is the person that I want to be? Who is that person that I envision myself being in the future? Because that person you can get there. Like that's the thing. We see ourselves being this person. How do we get there? You get there, but you got to heal a couple things, right? You got like, how do you align with that person? You know, it's like I've said it on my last episode. You have to heal those outdated beliefs and those ideas and the blockages that could be keeping you from being that person. Do you want to add anything before we close out?
Yeah, I just think that just touching on getting a coach is really important, because the biggest part about getting to where you want to be is the right steps in the right order. A lot of the times, people are trying all these different types of modalities, which is great, but they're not doing it in the right order. So you're wasting time, you're wasting money. So just invest in the coach so that you can actually get results in a shorter amount of time with less money.
Yeah. 90 days, guys.
Yeah.
90. It's like, sometimes I feel like we sound like an infomercial or like an MLM, but this is legit. This is like legit. This is not a pyramid scheme. Like it's actually legit stuff. Like like, you know, everyone's like, it sounds like a pyramid scheme. I'm like, it's fucking not. It's just like, like healing people, like just expressing it. There's no tricks to it. It's just literally what it is. It's just something that's so good that we want everyone to experience it. Yeah. But I wanted to say thank you for listening. Thank you for my audience. And thank you for coming on, Liz. I am so thankful that we got to talk and meet and do this episode. And I'm feeling like completely motivated, just like all over again, and inspired all over again. And I just love the way that you think and the way that you speak and what you kind of like teach and show. So follow Liz, guys, on her platform and take her survey that is in her link tree, okay? Obviously, you guys know to subscribe to this podcast so that way you guys can keep getting notified when I post again. But we are going to be back for another episode soon, and hopefully I pray to have Liz back again after my 90-day program, and then we can talk about kind of what happened after there. Also, if you guys do work with her, work with another coach, let us know about that. That'd be so fun. I feel like that'd be some more fun to like talk about. And also, side note, I am finally on Apple Podcasts for those who use that. I don't, I use Spotify, but whatever, it's fine. But we will be back for another episode later. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Liz, for coming on
Thank you.
to us. Thank you. Yay.